For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, the Phoenix, Arizona area. Today we're going to be searching out the filming locations to one of my all-time favorite movies, Raising Arizona.
Turn to the right!
The first time I met Ed was in the county lockup in Tempe, Arizona. You're a flower, you are. A day I'll never forget.
I do.
You bet I do.
Okay, then.
My lawless years were behind me. Our child-rearing years lay ahead. But biology conspired to keep us childless.
You go right back up there and get me a toddler. I need a baby hide. I got more than I can handle.
At the time, Ed's little plan seemed like the solution to all our problems. And the answer to all our prayers.
He's beautiful.
What? Are you kidding? We got us a family here.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
Now we're starting this video off in the parking lot of this Circle K because in the movie Raising Arizona, this Circle K in particular was the short stop grocery store where Nicolas Cage's character, was always robbing the place so he can get booked and see his love interest, who was Holly Hunter's character, Ed.
Turn to the right.
What's the matter, Ed?
My finance left me.
Tell him I think he's a damn fool, Ed. You tell him I said so, H.I. McDonough. And if he wants to discuss it, he knows where to find me. In the Maricopa County Maximum Security Correctional Facility for Men, State Farm Road, number 31, Tempe, Arizona. I'll be waiting.
Now, of course, when it comes to filming locations, a lot has changed, but for the most part, the building here that was the short stop grocery store still looks the same. You're going to see what I mean. I'm going to show you two scenes in particular, but I do want to point out something. Even though was always robbing this place in a very comical kind of way, it was always the same exact place. He never used a weapon because he said in his little parole hearing, his release hearing, I guess you want to call it, that he never wanted to hurt anybody.
You done served your 20 months. And seeing as how you never use live ammo, we got no choice but to return you to society.
These doors gonna swing wide.
I didn't want to hurt anyone, sir.
Hi, we respect that.
Ultimately, was in it for the money, but ultimately, he wanted to be near Ed. Now, obviously, the building looks a lot different today than it did back when they made Raising Arizona, but in this scene, High's car comes into view as we get a shot of this building from right about here. Now, obviously in the movie it didn't say Circle K, instead it said short stop for the grocery store. But it comes to right about here. High gets out of the car, gets his shotgun, and he goes inside to rob the place.
But it wasn't easy with that sumbitch Reagan in the White House. I don't know. They say he's a decent man, so maybe his advisors are confused.
Now, if you look at this scene again, you're going to see that right over here on the left-hand side of the building, right against this wall, is where the ice machines are. They're not here now. They're still here, but instead they're on the other side, right over there. Now, there's one other scene in the movie where we see High robbing the grocery store. This time, the camera, however, is turned away from the building towards the parking lot. Now, High comes running out to his car to find that he locked the keys in the car, and he runs off into the night. Now, in this shot, you're going to see, it's not there anymore, obviously, but right there is where the old sign would have been for the grocery store, the short stop.
I don't know how you come down on the incarceration question, whether it's for rehabilitation or revenge, but I was beginning to think revenge is the only argument that makes any sense.
The next stop on our Raising Arizona filming location video brings us to the home of High and Ed out here in the desert of Arizona. And of course, we found a cactus. Both Jessica and I are obsessed with cactuses out here. Dare I say in the wild?
Cacti?
Cacti?
I'm not sure.
Now the scenery, the landscape is just absolutely beautiful. We're gonna show it, we're gonna line up some shots. There's places that we can go to and places that we can't. Now in the movie, Hi and Ed get married and they end up getting a starter home, which basically is a trailer out in the middle of the desert. And what we find out is suburban Tempe. And is it just me, or does it feel like this is another planet? Now I'm obsessed with landscapes. I love showing them on this channel, and this is just breathtaking. How many times do I say breathtaking in videos that we do? Now you see an establishing shot of the property that Hi and Ed are living on, and it's right about here, and I have to zoom in to kind of get the shot. But now also keep in mind that it's almost like it was a crane shot because the camera was a lot more elevated. Now I think this is as close as we're going to get to the actual shot of the trailer park where Hi and Ed are living. Now again, it was a bit of an elevated camera angle overlooking the 4 trailers right here, but you can see that mountain range. It's identical. My gosh, is it beautiful. Now here's another shot with the mountain range behind it. You see that stone right there and that one right there? Now in a shot where the camera is inside the trailer as Hi is walking in, you can see those through the door off in the distance. Now one of my favorite things about this movie is Nicolas Cage's narration, his inner monologue. Now, living out here with Ed, his wife, living happy, he starts talking about these are the happy days or the salad days, and Ed, his wife, Holly Hunter, figures the next logical step is to have a little critter. And they show this scene of both of them lounging during the sunset and this mountain range right behind them.
These were the happy days, the salad days, as they say. And Ed felt that having a critter was the next logical step.
So come on down to Unpainted Arizona, where you can get the finest selection in fixtures and appointments for your bathroom, bedroom, boudoir.
Now one night, Hi and Ed are in their trailer having dinner when on the TV they catch a news broadcast about the Arizona Quince being born. 5 kids born to Mr. Arizona. And they have an idea. Basically, it's steal one of the kids. Crazy, right? Now, obviously, what you're looking at right now is Home Depot, but back whenever they made Raising Arizona, this building right here, repurposed now, was where Nathan Arizona had his store, Unpainted Arizona.
And if you can find lower prices anywhere, my name ain't Nathan Arizona.
The next stop on our Raising Arizona filming locations video brings us to these 2 bell towers that are behind me. Now, if you're familiar with the movie Raising Arizona, then you know exactly what this place is. This was the Arizona family household. Now, in the movie Raising Arizona, we're first introduced to the exterior shots of this scene during a dream that Hi has. Now, he dreams about a bounty hunter who he calls a biker of the apocalypse, kind of like Ghost Rider, who likes to destroy little things like flowers. There's even a scene where he takes a grenade and he blows up a bunny rabbit on the side of the road.
That night I had a dream. He was horrible. A man with all the powers of hell and laid to waste everything in his path. He was especially hard on the little things, the helpless and the gentle creatures.
And you see that cactus? Well, if we go over this way, in this shot, you can see it. It's very quick, but you can see it. That window right there, the second window, that's where the ladder went up. That was the room that Nicolas Cage, Hi's character, goes in to steal the baby. And this door right here would have been the front door. In fact, the very next morning when they discover that one of the kids is missing, there's a press conference that's held right here with Mr. Arizona. Right, in fact, where I'm standing with my camera, this is where the cameramen, the news reporters would have been standing, and Mr. Arizona would have been right there. Well, the doors would have been open.
All the missus and the rest of the kids left town to, I ain't saying where. They'll be back here when we're a nuclear family again.
Mr. Arizona, which tot was abducted?
Nathan Jr., I think.
Now there's one more scene that was filmed here, and it's whenever Hi and Ed were driving with Nathan Jr. in the car seat, and Hi says Nathan needs some Huggies, and this is where they stop off. Now pulling into the parking lot, Hi would have parked his car pretty much right where that white F-150 is parked. And he goes inside to rob the place, leaving Ed and Nathan Jr. in the car. Now it's through these windows, from the passenger seat of the vehicle, where Ed, who's played by Holly Hunter, sees Hi in there holding the place up.
Wake up, son. I'll be taking these Huggies and whatever cash you got.
Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in.
Calling him a few choice, colorful names, she gets back in the car. She takes off down the road, leaving the parking lot this way. Now also in this scene, you can see some payphones over here, which are no longer here.
You son of a bitch!
Better hurry it up. I'm in Dutch with the wife.
Hi gets, he runs out of the building because the cops are coming. And he takes off down the road as well, this time on foot. The police continue to chase Hi to this building right here, which at the time of filming Raising Arizona, it was known as the Double Coupon Supermarket. Now it's the Rancho Grande Supermarket. It's not in business anymore, but he runs in here with the panty on his head. The police follow him and they open fire inside the supermarket, scaring all the shoppers. He also gets the Huggies in here. It's all about the Huggies for little Nathan Jr. I think this is as close as we're going to get to the actual shot from Raising Arizona. The building still looks pretty much identical to the way that it did from the movie. Of course, instead it said double coupons on it, but Hi would have run right in front of the camera here towards the front doors. Now in the movie, as he's running through the supermarket, you can see on the wall, I think it says liquor, and there's another sign somewhere that says yogurt. I don't think they're still here, but we can peek through the windows and take a look. Like I said, this business hasn't been in use for quite some time. Let's get the camera up here to the glass and see what we can see. That's it, the supermarket from Raising Arizona. And just as I thought, you really can't tell that they filmed anything in here. It looks nothing like it. Of course, all the product, all the shelves have been taken out, but this is where it happened. Now here's some trivia that really has nothing to do with Raising Arizona, more with Grimm Life Collective and some of the filming locations that we visited across the Grimm Life Collective lifetime. Now this is an abandoned supermarket from Raising Arizona, but this isn't the first abandoned supermarket that we've ever come across. The other one is whenever we were driving from Florida to Los Angeles in our move, we stopped and did the filming locations to Stephen King's The Mist, the movie, not the TV show. And there was an abandoned supermarket there. And I just noticed this in the window. Tenant has been locked out by landlord, and for further information, contact that number. Now, who knows when that sign was put there? But again, here's the other side of the store. Again, a lot has changed over the years, but one thing that never really changes is terrain, like the mountain that's behind us. What do you think, baby girl? Pretty. Pretty? Not too bad for being out in the middle of nowhere, right? Now there's a scene in Raising Arizona where Hi and Ed are having a picnic with Dot and Glenn, and the picnic tables are right here. Now there's a whole bunch of them here, and it's kind of hard to tell which one they were actually sitting at, but whenever they turn the camera behind Hi, you can actually see these ones right here. There's a couple different tables, and then there's one single one right over there. You can see those behind Hi's shoulder.
Then there's the diphtheria tetanus, what they call the dip tet. You gotta get them dip tet boosters yearly or else they'll develop lockjaw and night vision. Then there's the smallpox vaccine, chickenpox, and measles. And if your kid's anything like ours, you're gonna have to get all those shots yourself first before he'll ever take them. Who's your pediatrician anyway?
Now while they're having their picnic, they're talking about getting the baby the vaccinations and saving up for college and different things that they need to do. And Hi has this look on his face like, I'm sorry, what? Completely dumbfounded. It's rather comical.
What would Ed and Little Angel do if a truck came along, splattered your brains all over the interstate? Where would you be then?
Yeah, honey, what if you get run over?
Where you got carried off by a twister?
Well, there's one scene that we can line up almost perfectly. Now you see that mountain range behind Jessica? You can see it. It matches up perfectly. Now you see those cactuses? Well, in this scene, Hi and Glenn are walking with their backs to the mountain and to the cactuses, and Glenn is telling Hi a joke. And you can tell that Glenn is feeling a little, what's the word? Overwhelmed with being a dad. And Glenn kind of takes it as an opportunity to make a pass at Ed, Hi's wife, letting him know that they're swingers. And Hi, he doesn't take too kindly to that, and he pops him in the nose. He falls to the ground. He says, "Keep your goddamn hands off my wife."
My wife.
Oh man, it's a great scene. It all happened right here in this park.
Don't you ever feel suffocated? Like there's something big pressing down?
Yeah. I'm talking about. Keep your goddamn hands off my wife.
Now, since we are here, you can do some hiking. They got some trails. Some of them are a lot harder than the others. I think it's good to get some exercise in today. That's good. Well, there's also a ghost town right down the street, Goldfield Ghost Town, so we should go check that out. You want to go check it out?
Yeah.
Well, next up, we find ourselves in front of the Bluebird Mine gift shop in Indian Jewelry, which is the ghost town of Goldfield, the original location. Now, there's a scene right where Jessica is standing, where Evel and Gail have their car parked, and Gail puts little Nathan Jr. in his car seat on top of the car as Evel is coming out after robbing the place.
Hurry up, open the door. He's a real cheerful little critter once he warms up to you. Hurry up. I don't know how high this thing can count.
6 Mississippi.
That scene holds a little extra bit of comedy for us today because just yesterday we literally had left something on top of our car. We're driving around, and every time we would stop, we would make a noise, and we're like, did we flat tire? Did we run something over? What is that? Oh my God, is something wrong with the car? And it's like, no, we left something sitting on top of the car.
Look at that, we were channeling Raising Arizona in Arizona.
It happens, it really does.
And then we get a shot with the camera showing this landscape, and you see that mountain range way off in the distance. This is what you're seeing whenever Gail opens the door for Evel so they can make their getaway.
I don't know how high this thing can count.
6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi.
Now, in Raising Arizona, Evel would have been right over here, and you can see these windows behind him as he's checking out with the clerk, buying some diapers for little Nathan Jr. And it's kind of comical because he asks the clerk behind the counter if he knows how to put them on, and he gets a little crash course in fatherhood. And then he robs them, and before he leaves, he tells them to get down on the floor and count to 825 and then back to 0.
Do you know how to put these things on?
Well, around the butt and up over the groin area.
All right, now you just lie down back there, old timer. I want you to count up to 825, and then on back down to 0.
Okay, then.
Now, Raising Arizona wasn't the only movie that was filmed here. Quite a few other ones. There's Bronson, starring Michael Parks, Pat O'Malley. Here's Raising Arizona over here with Holly Hunter, John Goodman, and Nicolas Cage, getting everything set up outside. Now, a little further down on the wall, Jane Seymour in the movie called Sunstroke. Don't know that one, but I'll have to check it out. Now, the latest movie that was filmed here stars Natasha Henstridge and Lance Henriksen. It's called The Unhealer. With great power comes great pain. And here's an autographed picture over here. Pretty wild. And then check this out. The little thing here says, Clues to the Lost Dutchman's Mind. You open it up. So when I first opened it, it gave me a little fright. I got a little scared for a moment. I jumped. Now, of course, we're here for Raising Arizona, but we can't pass up good history, good spooky history. And they have a couple different things that you can read and take a look at, talking about the ghost town of Goldfield. Pretty neat, right? Now, earlier I mentioned that this is the original location because across the street and a little further down, there is the ghost town of Goldfield, but it's not the original spot. No. They just basically bought a whole bunch of ghost town buildings
and put them in one location
for a touristy kind of thing. But you know what? I think this is better. Like knowing where something originally stood, right? Look at this. Historical marker since 1947, ghost town of Goldfield. During its heyday from 1893 to 1898, when 1 million in gold was mined from this area, about 300 people dwelt here, with the majestic Superstition Mountain in the background.
I don't know if you read all the way down to the bottom there, but now it's a population of 8.
Crazy how times change, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a nice shot of the Superstition Mountains in the background that we're seeing in Raising Arizona. Is that an old sign? A little hard to read because of the dead cactus on it. But right there in the bottom of your center of your screen, it says Goldfield Mines, I think. See if we can peek around. Oop. There's an old mine car. The next scene that we're going to visit is where Hi realizes that the biker of the apocalypse is a real human being, not somebody from his dream. His nightmare has come true. Now, behind Jessica and I, you see that water tower there? You can see that in the movie. Pretty much everything else along this stretch of highway has changed, but that is still here. So we're going to use that as a point of reference. You ready?
Yes.
All right, it's a busy road, so we're going to be careful.
What is he?
Do you see him too?
Now, a lot has changed over the years to this road in the desert, but picture this. Coming right down the street towards where I'm standing would have been Hi and Ed. Right over here in the center of the street, you see that yellow painted area, that median? Right about there is where Nathan Jr. would have been in his car seat in the middle of the street. Now, I should really point out that this is a very chaotic scene. That added to the fact that most of the buildings that were here are no longer here. Behind Jessica is a new housing development, I guess you would call it. So this wasn't here when they were filming. Instead, they had a couple other different buildings, like an old bank. So we really can't line up everything. Plus, a lot of quick shots. It's really hard to tell what direction is what. So it really all comes down to this old water tower that's still standing here. But even though this is a very chaotic scene and a lot has changed, we do know for certain that this is where they filmed that scene. In fact, their car, Hi and Ed's car, was parked right about here whenever the biker throws the grenade into the back seat, and then they run out of the car. Now, once the grenade hits the back seat, we get 3 different shots of them exiting the car. One is a bird's eye view from the very top. What you're looking at right now is the building with the water tower that's behind Hi. And as Ed exits the vehicle, this is what you would have saw behind her. Again, all those buildings, the bank and the other wooden buildings have all been torn down. And the sun is starting to go down, and I'm walking along this canal heading up to a water treatment facility plant here in Phoenix. Now, a lot has changed since they were here filming Raising Arizona, but this is the area, you can kind of match it up, where Gail and Evel escaped from prison. There's that scene where they come up out of the mud. John Goodman, strength of a human, of a god. It all happened right here. It looks nothing like it, but you can't change the mountains in the background. Now, I'm not sure how much of this was here back whenever they made Raising Arizona. Right now, I'm just walking the path that goes alongside the canal. On the other side, obviously, is the water treatment plant. But you see those mountains right over there, those peaks? I'm trying to line it up exactly as you see it in the movie. So I haven't found the exact spot just yet, but I will. Now, from everything I've read online, they said that they filmed these scenes at the south end of the water treatment facility, which I think I'm a little further down than where they filmed, but I came all the way down here because you can actually see the building, the one building that you see in the movie. I mean, a lot has changed, but you see those mountains? They look the same. Now, if I zoom in here almost all the way, oh, there's a biker. Yeah. That building right there, you can make it out, just the top of it. See how much has changed? Sadly, we can't get any closer than where we are right now, which is perfectly fine. So much has changed that you have to really look in order to find the scene that you're looking for. It's a big scene, it's a really cool scene, but a very small stop in our video.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.